Right then, so a very shortened version of the wrap up today then, and we'll just simply go over the dollar that was, if anything, better bid. So the prospects were for following this correction and move up. We got a semi move up throughout the New York session morning, and then the afternoon started to come off and peter out. But that didn't stop our trades in gold, the S&P and Nasdaq coming off. Gold tumbled, as mentioned, it probably would in the morning meeting, so it didn't give us an entry high up, so that wasn't really on the radar. But the Nasdaq and S&P played out absolutely beautifully. We had the market, as explained, digging into structure, and we got a couple of entries. One was here on the lower time frames to target stocks below over here. The inside, well, yes, Friday's closing. So let me just bring it to the template that we use for this type of trading style, and put it on a 15-minute chart, and we'll see, as we talked about, the box below that I said the market could be drawn to, not necessarily today, but for the week ahead, with all of the in the money longs. And then what we saw on the day was the trade idea set up, play out beautifully, breaking these trend line supports. There were a couple of entries, in fact, so I don't know if anyone took those trades. At the end of that meeting, literally, this was coming to fruition, the entries which I identified for you, and played out very, very well. So I'm not sure if anyone picked up on that, but excellent to those who did. So that was the first entry, and the second entry targeting the stops below Friday's closing price. So that paid off pretty well. So that was the S&P. And I'm being asked here to go through dollar yen. So I'll just have a quick look at dollar yen for you. Dollar yen. What was dollar yen on our radar for today? It was the first green day. So dollar yen was poised to go up because it closed higher on Friday, as I explained. So that continued going higher. Get rid of all these markings. So first green day, so day one, day two. Now, we may have a continuation on Tuesday. It's going to be stops above here that the market will potentially target. So continuation trade perhaps on the cards. The dollar needs to stay bid, obviously. But can it do that in an environment where the dovish sentiment is picking up around the Federal Reserve? So yet to be seen. I'd be cautious trying to go long, just based on those fundamentals. But technically, there are prospects of a move up. You've got a price imbalance between here and here that the market could well move into. But I'm not seeing any particular setup at the moment. We just have to wait and see how Asia opens up and what London does, really. Maybe they'll set us up for something in the US session. And that's really all I have to say about that at the moment, I'm afraid. There's nothing really to go on. Being asked for the index. This is a pullback we're seeing here on the hourly chart, on the daily chart. Somewhat overextended maybe to the upside, perhaps. It seems as though bears are trying to cap the bulls at this moment. We have had a break of last week's highs, but that might be a false break and a recipe for a move to the downside, potentially in line with how the CFDs were doing in the indices on Wall Street. Well, not on Wall Street, it was closed. The US indices, at least. So that's the daily chart there. On the hourly chart, we've got this pullback, maybe a correction up into the pullback and a continuation down. If this is to be a failed breakout of last week's highs, certainly money to go for. Okay, so calling it a day there, guys. I will do a pre-open analysis with you all tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning.